when I decided that it was time for me to return to college after having been an artist for 10 years and been a producer, executive producer, concert producer, promoter, manager, agent, booking agent, all the different various functions of a major record company, I did by myself. I did the work of 1,000 people, and I rarely had anyone to assist or to help me. I was pretty much doing the bulk of the labor. A lot of people who said that they were going to help me and assist me, they were high on drugs, selling drugs, doing whatever they were doing, and you know, they weren't around to be able to do the things that they had promised me that they were going to do. They went to prison, they went to jail, they're having baby's mama drama, just doing all these unnecessary counterproductive things. There were some instances in which some people who I know, they came through on a couple of occasions and they did a couple of little things here and there, but I did 99% of the work, and everybody in the world knows that. So at some point I said, look, you know, I went to high school and I graduated from high school, and you know, that first year outside high school I didn't immediately go to college because, you know, I wanted to do something in the realm of arts and entertainment and make a name that way, and I wasn't really motivated to go to college. You know, I thought to myself, you know, I mean, college isn't really for me right now. I'm going to make some money and then go to college. But I did end up going to college shortly after I graduated from high school, and I took some classes and I partied and whatnot, and you know, I had a small business on the side that I had started, which later became a defense contracting company, IT security, government defense security intelligence network, and so, you know, I was in college. I was in college for a little while. I wasn't 100% in classes, and I wasn't 100% focused. I was too busy backing friends up in fights, getting people's backs, going with people on missions to resolve issues with their baby's mama and all the drama, like the one dude who said that he was my homeboy, and you know, his bitch, just running her mouth, setting people up with the DEA, you know? She's selling drugs herself, doing drugs herself, and the hypocritical bitch goes and she calls the fucking police and sets up some people who were going through the studio that he and I used to manage. And you know, I mean, look, man, the drugs aren't cool. You know, the drug game's not cool. Some people do it because they think that's what they got to do to survive. Some people are in it on different levels. Sometimes it's just weed. Sometimes it's just powder cocaine and it's not crack. Sometimes it's weed and it's powder. Sometimes it's weed and crack. I mean, it could be anything, you know? I mean, people do what they got to do. You know, people get fucked over by the government when they're kids growing up in their neighborhoods because they wear certain clothing articles that the police determined to be gang or anti-establishment, you know? And so the police beat up people in neighborhoods, people who could have been soldiers in the military protecting America. You know, the cops roll through neighborhoods, man, and they act like fucking government stormtroopers sometimes. And they fuck with people's lives, and they beat up kids, and they harass kids, and they torture them just like fucking Al-Qaeda terrorists. They're terrorists. They're domestic terrorists. If you look at history and you consider the framers, the people who established America, who founded America, if you listen and read what they said, they talk about enemies both foreign and domestic. You know, they're talking about foreign and domestic enemies. People in the United States who are equal to that of terrorists abroad. They're fucking living in the U.S. Some of them are crooked cops. There are crooked cops that are doing way more crooked shit than the average petty criminal. There's cops in neighborhoods poisoning fucking kids with drugs and shit, selling the drugs themselves. And they have established drug networks that are bigger than any of these little fucking low-level petty wannabe pussy-ass fucking dime store gangs. There's cop gangs that are way bigger than fucking any of these so-called thugs and hustlers who you see out on the block. And they're doing major shit. And they're doing shit with fucking cartels. People bringing in drugs from different countries. And they're the ones that are fucking poisoning the communities and fucking up the nuclear family and shit, you know? Because it's supposed to be about the man, the woman, the husband, the wife. That's the nuclear family. The children, the offspring, the siblings. Okay? So that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be strong families. But when you bring in those drugs, when you tempt people to engage in debauchery and whoredom and hedonistic heathen lifestyles, you're like, hey, look, man, you want to do some powder cocaine? You know? Hey, I see you drinking some scotch over there. You ever tried powder? You know? You want to do some fucking coke? You want to fuck me and all of my friends tonight, you know? We're bad cops, yeah. And we're bringing this fucking dope into your neighborhood. People get turned on, man. They make mistakes. You know? They take one sniff of that powder. They do one line. They hit the crack one time. They could have been sports stars. They could have been doctors, lawyers, scientists. They could have been making smart decisions. They could have been making intelligent decisions. They could have been defending America. But what do? They fuck shit up. They run amok. They act insane, neurotic, crazy. And that's the lifestyle of a lot of people on the West Coast. And I just got tired of it, man. I said, you know what? Look, you know, what's loyalty to this hood, man, this neighborhood, this sector, this block? I mean, what is it? You know? You're loyal to some people and shit. You keep your mouth shut. And, you know, some of those same people will try to set you up. Some of those same people will try to fuck your girlfriend and try to ruin your engagement to someone who, you know, you might have feelings for, who you might want to be with for the rest of your life, married to or something, you know. They might try to, you know, fuck your whole life over, you know. They might try to do some crimes and then, you know, have you pinned as someone who was, you know, the fall guy. They might make you the fall guy in some kind of crime. So, I mean, you know, you got to choose those people when you're growing up on the West Coast, who you're going to be around, you know, who you're going to trust, who you're going to trust more than others, you know. So I looked at, you know, the horizon and I said, okay, man, so who are my trues, man? Who are my true B-dogs, you know? Because we used to have to fight Crips on the West Coast. We used to have to fight these dudes that wore blue bandanas and came into our neighborhoods from California. So we formed this organization called DIE, Deep in Everett, 495, and it was not a gang, it was a fraternity. It was formed in my cousin's basement. There were 6 original members. And that's what it was. And it was reminiscent and an homage. It was reminiscent of and an homage to the Secret Committee of 21 from the same neighborhood that I'm originally from, the Riverside neighborhood, the historic Riverside neighborhood in North Everett. You can look it up, the Secret Committee of 21. It was a vigilante community-based organization. And in the Shroud of Darkness, what the Committee of 21 would do is put fucking criminals in their place, people fucking up their neighborhoods, people trying to terrorize their neighborhoods. So we formed basically a rebirth, an offshoot, a new beginning of the Secret Committee of 21. And you don't know about Everett, Washington. Everett, Washington was formed by East Coast aristocrats who came out to the West Coast. They sent explorers, trackers, agents. They sent people out, intelligence operatives at the time, and they found the West Coast. People said that it was there. So when they found it, they looked back on the East Coast and said, damn, this thing really does exist out here. This area of land right here overlooking this seaside, this cliff, man, this fucking beautiful, majestic Pacific coast. It's really here. We don't have to tell our handlers back on the East Coast. We could just make it our own thing. And then obviously, you know, handlers caught up to them. They're like, oh, we see you found it, so it's here. You know, you can't hide shit from us, plus you're paid to do this job. So it was intelligence that located Everett, Washington in the first place, Snohomish County. And then they set up this perimeter, and by torchlight at night and in darkness, by the Shroud of Darkness, they concealed the city. And they told other people, other business persons who wanted in on it, they're like, nah, man, we never found anything, man. It's too much. The weather's too torrential. You can't build anything up here on this cliff. You can't build anything here in this place. We can't put a city here. We can't erect anything. And lo and behold, they were building the city of Everett. You can't tell me shit about the history of Everett. And then at the time, man, crime was rampant. They had the red light district in the neighborhood that I'm from, the Northeast Riverside district. They had the original red light prostitution district. So all the aristocrats there, they moved. They moved over to, you know, Port Gardner Bay, so that they could look down on the bay side and see what was going on. You know? And it was just crime, man. It's been crime since the fucking turn of the century. You know? 200 fucking years ago. So you got these people, man, these criminals in this neighborhood that I come from, and then you have the people who want to separate themselves from that, who want to be outstanding, and they don't want to have any kind of fucking crime in their sphere, you know, in their neighborhoods. They want to do the right thing. And, you know, so they form these organizations. And that's why I joined Blood. Because UBN, United Blood Nation, originally stood for that. We weren't into crime. We weren't like, hey, man, let's go out and commit crime. We were like, nah, fuck that, man. There's people coming into our neighborhoods trying to fuck over our livelihoods. So we had to fight people to fend them off, man, to keep them out. You know? We weren't involved in crime. And the police came and set us up. And they tried to take everything we had.